The third question is from Johannes. I don't know if he's from Sweden. I don't know if he is in Liek or Egbert. Is Johannes in?
Ik denk het niet. Nee.
Shalom, dear Rabbi Tovia Singer. I have a question. I'm wondering if a convert converts to Judaism, does his mother have to be a Jew too? Then, because I know because of the fact that a convert was a Jew all along if he converts to Judaism, or is it connected in another way? Doesn't? Yes, I'm wondering how the soul of a convert is generally. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what a wonderful question that is. So, as it turns out, although the Hebrew word for convert, typically people call it a ger is a convert, but the word ger does not mean to convert at all. The Hebrew word ger means a stranger. That's what it means. So, what's happened here is you have somebody who has a Jewish soul, who always was a Jew but doesn't know it. And therefore, that person's a stranger. Imagine a little baby is kidnapped from the hospital at birth and is raised by another family. That's what happens. There are there are some different views on this, but I'll tell you what I am sure of. What is happening in the souls of those who come to convert to the Jewish faith is that they always were Jewish. That is a universal view, that a person who converts always was Jewish, because you have to remember this. The Jewish people are very unusual for many reasons, but one of them is very plain. We're a nation, we're a people, we're an Am who come from a certain family, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we also have a faith, a religious faith. This is very unusual. This is almost unheard of in the world, that a nation, it's called an ethno-religious group. It's almost unheard of in the world. Now, I can understand how someone can convert and join the Jewish faith, embrace the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I understand that. But how do you join a nation? How do you change your genetics? If you're from one nation, how do you join another nation? How does that really, how could that be possible? So, in truth, that person always was from the children. There are so many imposter Gentiles. There are so many people who think they're not Jewish, but really their great 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 grandmother was a Jew, but she realized in order to survive, she has to become a Christian and then marry a Christian man. And no one would find out. That's the big secret. And you certainly are not going to pass that information on to your children and grandchildren because they're likely to tell the secret. And this way you can escape Hitler's ovens. In this way you can escape all kinds of persecution. Now, all these Jews who were forced, in a sense, to convert, I say forced, meaning they were in an unenviable situation. Or some people, you couldn't be a professor in a university unless you became a Christian. They wouldn't let you in. You couldn't become a doctor and go to medical school if you were Jewish. You couldn't be a conductor in an orchestra unless you became a Christian. That's what happened to Mahler. He converted to Christianity. He was a Jew who became a Christian. And there were many philosophers were Jews who became Christians because they couldn't gain entry into the university. The Jews, all sorts of reasons, people were forced to become Christians. It's a crazy thing because, you know, if Christianity is such a good thing, why do you have to force people to do it? Why? If it's so good, why can't you get people to accept it freely. If I tell you, here, here's a bar of gold, and if you don't take this gold, I'll kill you. You don't have to do that. Brother, what do you have to kill me? Put the gun away. I'll take the gold happily. It's good. Judaism doesn't have to force anybody to do anything. We have such a beautiful message. You don't need to force anybody anything. In fact, we don't force anybody to anything. And people are breaking the door down trying to convert to Judaism or become a Ben Noach. We have such a fantastic message. But the church apparently was very insecure. It's not many, a number of religions participate in this kind of activity. Now, all these people who converted for all sorts of reasons, they had children, they had daughters. So those daughters are Jewish, and those daughters had daughters, and those daughters are Jewish too. It doesn't break. And now we're many generations later, we'll be 4 generations later, 8 generations later, and now we're living at what is likely very close to the Messianic age. And now Hashem is calling people back. He's awakening their soul. He's infusing oxygen into this fire that's just causing it to spark. Hashem is keeping his promise of Isaiah 43, verse 6. I will bring my sons and my daughters back from the furthest most islands. So people are waking up today as never before. So why would you ever want to go close to such a nation? But Hashem is waking up all these Jewish souls. That's what's happening. What's happening is that the descendants of Jews are drawn to the Jewish people and they want to be as close to it as possible and are finding their way home. And that's what's spreading around, and that's why it's called a ger. A ger means a stranger, means someone who is just a stranger. It's not that you really belong here, you're just a stranger because you were raised somewhere else. In fact, in our Jewish literature, in our literature of Jewish law, the language that's used is ger shenes gayer, which means a stranger that becomes a convert. It doesn't say a Gentile that becomes a convert, but rather a stranger. That's all that's what you're seeing now, is you're seeing the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob joining in. And those who really are Jews will find a calling to the Jewish people that they must be a Jew. You don't have to. A person may say, you know what, I love Judaism and I know it's the truth, but I don't feel a calling to join the nation and to keep the mitzvos that are incumbent upon a Jew. That person will be a ben Noach, which means that they're observing, that person is observing the Judaism without joining the nation of Israel. So that's really where the converts are. They really are descendants of, and therefore that solves the issue. They're not joining another nation. They were always a part of that nation. They always were. It's just Hashem is drawing them close because it's time. Hashem is keeping his promise.
Great. And now I am triggered by the word stranger. Just aside, stranger and Gentile. What's the difference between a Gentile and a stranger?
A Gentile is a Latin word, and a stranger is derived from a Hebrew word.
That's it.
Gentile is, there's no word Gentile in Hebrew. There is no word.
Correct.
There's no, that's a Latin word. And
Okay.
it really refers to those who are the other, who are not Jewish. So the word Gentile is a Gentile word.
I had to ask.
The word Gentile, I was once did a radio show in Toronto. I'll never forget this. I was doing a show and a person called in. How come you Jews call us Gentiles? I said, we never called you Gentiles. You Gentiles call yourself Gentiles. It's a Gentile word. You invented it. It's not you'll never find that word in the Jewish Bible. Nations are called a goy, and the Jews are also called a goy. But Gentile, you could, the Tanakh will refer to those who are uncircumcised, but really it's a word used to refer to those who are the enemies of the Jews. But Gentile is not a Jewish word at all. That's a completely Gentile word. I'm not trying to be funny, but I am funny. But I'm not trying, but it's a strange thing. That's not a Jew. Goy is a Jewish word. Ger means nation. Ger is a Jewish word, and it means stranger. So the word Gentile is not a Jewish word at all. So let the Gentiles figure out that word.